Shalom Bethel family. It's Thursday once again, time to review our Torah discussion from Congregation Bethel in Norfolk this past Saturday. This past Saturday we read Parshat Miketz. It was also Hanukkah. And we took a close look at one character in this Miketz story relating it to Hanukkah, and that is the character of Judah, Joseph's older brother. I want to start by looking at the blessing for Hanukkah. We have the blessing on the candles and then a second blessing that goes, She'asa nisim lavotenu bayamim hahem bazman hazeh. Thanking God for performing miracles for our ancestors in those days long ago. And, it's an interesting blessing because when you look at the Maccabees story, we don't see a lot of God active in the story. I mean, behind the scenes, yes, but the heroes of the story are the Maccabees who fought to remove the yoke of the Syrian Greeks from upon their nation, and who themselves went and purified the sanctuary, doing that Hanukkah Tabayit, that rededication of the great sanctuary in Jerusalem. So why would we add the blessing, thank you to God for those things? And the answer seems to be that that ultimately sometimes the miracles that we see God do happen through the intervention of people. And with that in mind, I want to look at the character of Judah. Now, Judah is one of the most dynamic characters in the Torah. You can make a pretty good argument for the fact that Joshua is also as dynamic, starts out as a fairly ineffective leader, and by the end is one of our greatest leaders, ultimately who leads the conquest of the Holy Land. But Judah is also very interesting. In his young life, he's not such a great person as far as we can tell, right? We have, first of all, he is the brother who has the idea to sell Joseph into slavery. On the one hand, saving his life, but on the other hand, not really saving his life, selling him into another life of servitude and landlessness. He doesn't know, homelessness. He doesn't know that Joseph is going to become this chief slave in Potiphar's household, or later a prince of Egypt. As far as he's concerned, he's getting rid of him. So he's not such a good character. And why is he doing it? For his own gain, because he doesn't like the way his father's treated him, or he doesn't like the way Joseph has treated his brothers. And then later, in Parshat Miketz and next week as well in Vayikash, we see a different side of Judah, right? We see a Judah who now stands up for his brother Benjamin, right? The brothers have come down to Egypt. Joseph is manipulating them, sending them back and forth, ultimately to get his brother Benjamin, his only full brother and the only brother who was not involved in his being sold into slavery, to come to bring Benjamin, manipulating the brothers to bring Benjamin, that brother, down to Egypt. And when he does, he makes this ploy to make it seem like Benjamin is stolen from him. We can only assume that when the brothers go home, Joseph would bring him out of jail and say, now you'll rule by my side, or something like this. But Judah steps up and he says, no. First, I vouched for this boy with my life. I said to Jacob that if anything happens to him, it'll be on me and on my life. And so take me instead. First, in this parsha, he makes that pledge to his father. And then at the beginning of next week's parsha, he stands up and he says, take me instead. And that's how Joseph knows that they've really changed. But how can we explain this dynamic change in Judah? How he went from being so self-centered and selfish to now having such concern for his father losing another son that he's willing to pledge himself in Benjamin's place. And the only possible answer is the story that we read in last week's parsha of Tamar. Tamar is Judah's daughter-in-law. And because her husbands, Judah's sons, did not behave properly in the eyes of God, God took them, right? They died. And so Judah himself has now lost two sons of his own, and also been sort of publicly chastised for his inward behavior. And now has become less concerned only about himself and his inward needs, and more interested in those around him and what they might need, especially his father, also his brother. So how does that relate to our Hanukkah blessing? Well, Hanukkah has taken on a new meaning here in the United States, and maybe not the best meaning. Hanukkah was never a holiday about presents or even celebrations in the home. Right? So many of our people have Hanukkah parties, and that's great and it's wonderful, and they make merriment inside the house all week long. I wouldn't take that away, but let's call that what it is. That is a new incarnation of Hanukkah. That is, as it has sometimes been called, the Jewish Christmas. Right? Christmas is a time for giving presents. Christmas is the time for having parties in your house and these kinds of things. And Hanukkah has taken on that role for Jews in America, and that's fine. I don't have any problem with that, except that I think maybe we're forgetting that more foundational meaning of Hanukkah. Right? The meaning that comes from that prayer, that God performed wondrous deeds through the Maccabees in days long ago, reminding us that we today are supposed to perform those same kinds of deeds. And if you look in our traditional texts about Hanukkah, you'll see that message time and again. First of all, where do we put the Hanukkah menorah? Where in the Shulchan Aruch and even further back in the Talmud are we told that it needs to go? It needs to go in the window of your home, facing outward. Right? Because the mitzvah of Hanukkah is to project our light outward, not into the home, not about presents and songs and latkes and donuts. That's all great. But don't forget, the light is supposed to shine outward. Right? And it's supposed to do that in a way that it's very careful about how the menorah is placed, in a way to send that message that miracles are possible and they happen starting with the people in this house, projecting our spirit, projecting our light outward. We read that in the Shulchan Aruch, and Rabbi Moshe Isserlis adds in his gloss that there should be a separate menorah that you could see for every person in the family. Right? Every single individual is capable of bringing this light forth, bringing this mitzvah out into the world. And that's the idea. Not about what every individual gets. What's my present? What's my food? It's about what we put out into the world is supposed to be the idea of Hanukkah. And the Mea Shiloach goes on making this great comparison. He talks about how we're supposed to project this light. He says the Torah is like a great big light shining as a beacon out into the world. But a candle is smaller. A candle is a smaller. He says every mitzvah is a candle, like a Hanukkah candle. Why is that important? Because a great big light can shine out, but it can't get into all the cracks and crevices and corners, right? Those things sometimes stay in shadow when we have one big central light. Candle can be carried into those dark places, into those cracks and into those crevices to shine that light. And when we do a mitzvah, that is the candle shining its light into those dark places. And so that's the light that we are supposed to be shining outward into the world on Hanukkah, is the light of the candle, the light of the mitzvah. And maybe there's one place even a little further we can take this idea that we are the ones capable of bringing the miracle, bringing the light out into the world, shining the Hanukkah miracle out into the world, the miracle of Torah, the miracle of Jewish connection. And that comes from a colleague of mine, Rabbi Naomi Levy. Some years ago, the Rabbinical Assembly, our conservative rabbis organization, published a prayer for each night. On the fifth night of Hanukkah, Rabbi Levy published a prayer called God's Candle is the Human Soul, based on the verse in Proverbs that says, the spirit of man is the lamp of God. And based on that idea, she says, the light we need to project outward, it's the light of our soul. It's the light of our mitzvot, the light of our good deeds. We need to go out into the world and be the light. The candles are only representative of the mitzvahs. The candles are only representatives of us. And so I want to conclude with Rabbi Levy's prayer. And even as Hanukkah is drawn to a close at sundown, when the stars came out yesterday, hopefully we can carry this message into this dark time of year of being the lights, bringing our mitzvot, bringing our lights as we help other people and shine the light of Torah, the light of our spirits, into the world. Rabbi Levy writes, we are God's candle. We are made to shine, not just one time in our history, but every day, even today. God knows the awesome potential hidden inside us. The gift of Hanukkah is the light we must bring to this precious world. On this night, we remember our power, mighty and eternal. Bless us, God, with courage and strength, health, love, and peace. We are God's candle. May we shine and illuminate the world. Amen. Wish you a beautiful Shabbos and a beautiful new year as we turn from December to January, and hopefully many opportunities to share your light and our light to make a better world.